It's a poison. That doesn't help the stress level. No, don't do it. Get a grip. This stupid video I just showed you. I almost stroked out and died over it. You're watching a different show. You donkey. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. Don't do this to me, Harry. The Ohio State. It's Ohio State. What do you mean, the? 312-988-15.
Hello?
You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. You guys, it's amazing. Is there anything to talk about? Is there any drama involving Notre Dame? Is there any talking points? Is there anything we could cover on this gray November day? I gotta tell you guys, I don't think I have the brain capacity. I'm just being honest. I don't think I have the brain capacity for all of these scenarios. Like, let alone Twitter and Facebook and all this social media and all this. This is, at least I'm honest, Pat. Jesus. Like, I know my limitations. I am not smart enough to navigate all of these scenarios in my brain of where Notre Dame is and everything. Good morning, Dr. John. Good morning to everybody else. Good morning, crowd here. I'm not smart enough to be able to navigate all this stuff. I'm just telling you, I'm not. It's at the point where it's not math, but it is math at the same time. Like, everybody knows I'm not good at math. It's not math, but it's kind of math at the same time. It's wild. And here's one conclusion I have, and we're going to get to this. I see a bunch of you guys waiting. I want Pat to come in here and break down what he thinks the interpretation is of what the committee did and what they said yesterday and what the realities are, right? It's wild. And here's the thing, man. And I tweeted this morning, and it's still true. Everyone with all these strong opinions. Good morning, Dad. Always Irish Senior. Good to see you. Here's what everyone is doing on social media and everywhere else. You have the conclusion you want it to be. That is where you start from. Is the conclusion you want to happen. Notre Dame in the field. Miami ahead of Notre Dame. Whatever. BYU up there. Whatever it is. You have the conclusion in mind that you want everybody to arrive to. From there, you reverse engineer all of the math and all of the ways of thinking and all of the philosophy to lead to that conclusion. Then you wrap that up, you tweet it, and then you think you should be on game day and you know how everything's going. That's what I see happening. Nobody's doing this from a neutral position. It's pro Notre Dame. It's pro Miami. The conclusion you want, and you reverse engineer all of the data and the statistics and the philosophy to arrive you at that conclusion. And you conveniently ignore all of the other evidence and the data and the metrics and the philosophy that could lead to a conclusion you don't like. That's all that's going on right now. And it's played out. It's played out. That's all everyone's doing. I'm seeing it. And the Notre Dame people are doing it on the pro Notre Dame side. The Miami people are doing it, whatever. I am not smart enough to be able to calculate all this. And it's wild. Social media is one thing. But if you just look at my chat before the show started, if you look at my chat, we ran the entire gamut of possibilities in this chat, mostly pro Notre Dame chat. I don't see Kent in here. It's mostly a pro Notre Dame chat. And I have seen everything in here this morning in the last 10 minutes from win and we're in to I think they're positioning this for Miami to catch Notre Dame by the end to What happens with BYU in the Big 12 and Alabama, and could that make Notre Dame fall out after conference championship? I'm not smart enough to be able to figure it all out. I'm not. Hopefully Kent weighs in on this. Miami can't even win the ACC. They're not ready for the playoffs. It's just, dude, it's a wild thing. And you could honestly lose your mind and spend all day debating people on Twitter if you want. It's just, I have more important things to do that make me money than debate with those people all day. I'd rather write an article and get paid off it than debate a Miami troll that drinks Everglades water to party on a Friday night. Then, so, but it's wild. So let me set the stage here. Here's where I'm at. I had a couple people reach out and say, dude, you're going to blow your stack if Notre Dame's in this field all the way and in the last one they lose it. Like, I can't wait to see you blow up. I ain't going to blow up. I think Notre Dame fans should be feeling really fortunate to be in the position you're in. For losing your first 2 games, you are in the best position you could possibly be in, having that be the reality you're dealing with. I believe Notre Dame is very fortunate to be in the position they're in. Very fortunate the committee has seen things in like a Notre Dame kind of philosophy angle. Like the way the things they're looking at so far have favored the Notre Dame angle here. I think Notre Dame's really, really lucky to be where they are right now. And if you get bounced at the end, I'm going to come on here and I'm going to say, don't lose those 2 games. When you're an independent, you don't have that opportunity for that final game on the conference to make a difference or whatever else. You don't lose 2 games. And A&M's really the one. Like, I've been saying it for a while. I'll give Miami credit for playing a good, tough game. They played better. They made the plays. That A&M game, if Notre Dame misses out on the last one because of more chaos, you have nobody to blame but yourself. And I am not going to complain on here at all. You should have beaten A&M. You didn't even have to play good defense to beat A&M. You just had to play any defense to beat A&M. The refs lost us that game. I'm not going there. I'm not going there with the refs lost you that game. You didn't play any defense. And so I'm not going to blame the refs. They were bad. They could have bailed Notre Dame out. But you not playing any defense is why you lost that game. So I'm making it very clear. My position is I think Notre Dame's fortunate. The powers that be are looking at this through a lens that favors the Notre Dame angle. And if Notre Dame ends up losing and all these things go against you with whatever the calculation is, I'm going to come on here and say, that's what happens when you lose 2 games. Don't lose them. Sorry, man. So I am not going to, I think we are lucky we're in the position we're in. Now, I don't know what to make of all the scenarios you guys have put forward. Some of you are certain win and Notre Dame's in. Other of you think they're setting up Miami to jump you later. Others are worried about those conference championship games. What if Alabama beats A&M? And then what if BYU beats Texas Tech? Then do they both go to get in and Notre Dame gets? If it happens, it happens. And you have no one to blame but yourself for losing your first 2 games and not knowing what you had on defense, who could play defense, and what defense to call and play. You should have figured that out in August, and you didn't. Your evaluations failed. You put guys out there that couldn't play football the first 2 games. That's your fault. And if you get bounced out of this thing, it's your fault. This staff did not know what they had in August. They ran the wrong guys out there, and it took them a few weeks to figure it out. If that's the difference, then you could be mad about it all winter. And you better come back next year and not lose these games. So that's my position on it. But I'm getting annoyed with all of this. And you know what I'm really looking forward to, you guys? I'm looking forward to this Saturday. You know why? Because for that window of time on this Saturday, all of this crap's going to die down as people focus about the games again. People actually will start looking at people playing football games. And I'm looking forward to that. But it's just, I think Notre Dame's lucky to be in this position. And if you get caught from behind or whatever, that's the price you pay for not knowing what you had on defense for the two biggest games of the year. I'm sorry. So that's my position on it. And I do not have it in me to come on here if Notre Dame gets bounced and somehow Miami gets ahead of you and I'm going to throw a fit over it. You're wrong. I'm going to throw a fit, but the fit's going to be directed at Notre Dame, not the committee or the Miami media or the ACC or whatever. No, it's going to be directed to us. I'm still going to throw a fit, but it's going to be about us and what we didn't do right. So to lose two of your three biggest games to be in this position is it's an unbelievable position to be in. So whatever, man. And then here's the other part of this, and I'll get to your super chats. There's a bunch of you guys that have opinions. I'm going to bring you guys up, and I'll shut up and hand it to you guys. Here's the other part of this. I mentioned getting back to the actual football. There is a different standard for Notre Dame in these final two games. This is not like, oh, all you got to do is win and you're 10-2 and you're going to be cool or whatever. There is a different standard of the acceptable outcome in these remaining two games. And it isn't, oh, you're sleepwalking and it's 10-6 at halftime against Syracuse. You need to beat the crap out of these people bad. There is a different standard. Just coming on here after the game and going, oh, we won. That's not good enough. You need to absolutely blow these teams out. Pedal to the metal, and you need to blow them out bad. You cannot open that door of like, yeah, we kind of said Notre Dame was hotter than Miami, but look at them cooling down and Miami's heating up, and now we got the head-to-head. You got to kick. There's a different standard for these remaining two games. I don't care if it's 3 a.m. your time when we play Stanford. You need to win by 40. Blow them out. Blow them out. Mikey Poles, I just had a shelter-in-place drill at work. Don't they know John's on? Shelter in place while you're watching John. You can do two at the same time. Shelter in place while you're watching my face. Marcus knows we have to have no mercy. Yeah, I mean, you need to control what you can control. And you got your last win that could move the needle against a ranked Pitt team on the road that was flying high in a 5-game winning streak. That's over. Now you got to blow these teams out. So there's a different standard. If you win by 14 against Syracuse, I'm coming on here and I'm going to be pissed off. Unacceptable. If you really want to get in this playoff and you feel like you're trending up, you better prove it. And you better jump somebody's bones. I want 17-0, 21, 24-0, first quarter, beginning of the second quarter. You can't mess around. Johnny, what time you doing the postgame show after Stanford? Well, let's see. About 1 a.m. It'll start at 9:45 my time, 3.5 hours. It'll be just about 1 a.m. Notre Dame finishes up 10-2. I'm still doing a show. I don't care if everybody's sleeping. I'll yell to myself. There is no, oh, I'm doing a post game after Stanford. It just might not go 2 hours, but I'm doing it. If Notre Dame wraps up this miraculous comeback and finishes 10-2 after how they started, I'm doing a post game show. I'm not going to need coffee. I'll be excited. And whoever's here will party with me, and whoever isn't won't. Go get some sleep. $10 hour. I think this is the team we thought we were going to see at the beginning of the year. Good defense flying around with freshman quarterback. Absolutely. If you got this kind of defense early in the year, you would be undefeated. Clearly. That's crystal clear to me. If you got anything that resembles the kind of defense Notre Dame's playing right now, you're undefeated. And we're having a different discussion, but you didn't. Whatever the evaluation process was in August failed this program and this team. They were way off on who they thought they could play and what they thought they were going to run defensively. And if it costs you a playoff bid, that is the cost of being that disorganized and not knowing what you had and running the wrong guys out there to play. Sorry, Ryan Elliott, $10 hour. I don't like the way this feels for the Irish. We need major chaos ahead of us. And I got other people saying, win and you're in, no worries. What's the reality? I'm not smart enough to figure it out. But I got half the people in here saying, win and you're in. This is great. And I got the other half going, they're setting this up for Miami. They're setting it up for the conference championship. We'll be the last team out or whatever. I don't know, bro. It would be nice to be able to just worry about Notre Dame kicking the crap out of Syracuse. But here we are. Pilney, $10 hour. The eye test matters in November more than schedule. Ask Bama. Play sloppy, crappy ball, and then deal get bounced out too. I don't know, you guys. Pat, welcome in. Good morning, brother.
Morning, Jenny.
Pat, I don't think you're on Twitter anymore. I don't know if you are on a burner or whatever, but
no,
it is an absolute cesspool. It is.
I read a lot of articles, right? So I just like to read. I don't like to see the comments, but the articles that are being written are so mad at Notre Dame. It's hysterical. Like everyone throughout, I mean, not to say that anybody who proclaims to be media is biased, but everyone throughout any sort of veer of like going down the middle and just trying to call it, everyone hates Notre Dame right now. And I said early on in the chat before the show starts, guys, we should bask in this. We should love this. Every time they say we're irrelevant, look at how they act. Look at how they act. They hate us. They're always going to hate us. There's nothing that Notre Dame can do to make these people like them. And so we just need to bask in it. I think it's glorious. I love it. I'm so happy to see it.
Pat, let me ask you this. What were your takeaways from the committee last night? Either the actual rankings itself, what they told you, or maybe more importantly, what that guy was saying when
what he said says more. Asked. What he said. So obviously the big concern was about Oklahoma and Alabama and where they were going to fall. And my hope was Notre Dame would be above Oklahoma and Alabama. Both. Notre Dame falls right in the middle. That's perfectly okay. Look, and I said this again, and I expect the same thing to happen. The committee doesn't like it when these teams schedule these powder puffs late in the year. Alabama has to play Eastern Illinois. So Alabama I don't think is a risk with their schedule to Notre Dame. They still have a chance for the SEC championship game with a little bit of chaos. But Alabama, I think, stays behind Notre Dame the rest of the year. I don't think there's a concern either because they play EIU or they lose to Auburn. I don't think there's anything Alabama could do to jump Notre Dame. So I think
I thought somebody was saying they are in line for that conference championship.
It's Texas and Georgia, or Texas A&M and Georgia right now.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
So I just. So. And then what? Oh man! And then what do you think about like? Is Miami creepy? Yeah, I don't think that's it. I thought Alabama was in line to play in that because they beat them. They beat Georgia.
So right now it's a 38% chance of Alabama will face Georgia and 33% Alabama will face Texas A&M. It's Georgia. So you're right. I think Alabama does get in there. I still look at it this way. Alabama has to play, or I'm sorry. Yeah, Alabama lost to Oklahoma. Texas A&M has to play Texas, and then Georgia only has Georgia Tech. So I'm not really worried about how all of these fall out. Even if Alabama beats Texas A&M, if Alabama is ranked 10th, they're not knocking Notre Dame out. They might jump over Notre Dame.
Yeah, but Notre Dame would remain it.
But Notre Dame is not going to fall out because of it. The team that I think is like, because this is how it plays out. If you look at the bracket, Miami jumps in as the highest ranked conference champion. The highest ranked ACC team. They're not a conference champion. They're just the highest ranked ACC team.
So then do they get 2 teams in?
No,
if they're not, but they wouldn't be in the be in the conference championship.
Correct. They can't, they're not. So this is what Miami needs to be in the conference championship. They need Georgia Tech to beat Pitt. They need Miami and wait, hold on. I just had this up. What did I do with it? There it is. Pitt needs to beat Georgia Tech. Louisville needs to beat SMU. Duke needs to beat North Carolina. SMU needs to lose to Cal. Wake Forest needs to beat Duke. And Virginia Tech needs to upset Virginia. They need all 6 of those games to fall their way. And they have to win out and beat Pitt at the end of the year for Miami to make that game. It is the narrowest path for any team in the ACC to get into the ACC. But
what if the argument, though, is that they don't make that game, but then they creep up and then Notre Dame and them come head-to-head, that head-to-head.
That's where what the head of the committee said last night matters. And he said, yeah, they have a head-to-head in a very close game where Miami was at home and won by a field goal in the first game of the season. Yeah. And then Miami lost to 2 unranked teams. They lost to Louisville and they lost to SMU.
Yeah.
Notre Dame doesn't have those losses. And so that's what they're looking at. That's what the committee is looking at and saying, you know what? You guys had a coin flip game. A coin flip game. Any team could have won that game. The head-to-head matters as far as where you may be, but Miami, you got 2 garbage losses.
Yeah.
You have 2 garbage losses. And so we think Notre Dame is a better team because of that. Man. Because Notre Dame had a coin flip game against Miami and a coin flip game against the 3rd-ranked team in the country in Texas A&M, and then have beaten everyone else on their schedule, including just a ranked win against USC and what was a ranked Pitt team when they played them last. So I don't think Notre Dame has much to worry about from Miami. Miami's going to get screwed, and I'm here for it.
Now, what about the BYU angle? BYU is a team that could knock out ND unless they kick out Texas Tech for losing the Big 12. That is an angle there that if they rematch in that game and then BYU wins, then they would be the conference champion, but then Texas Tech would have 2 losses.
Texas Tech would have, right.
So then Texas Tech would
have 2 losses.
Yeah, it'd be 2.
Yeah, Texas Tech would have 2 losses.
So then where would they fall then?
I think they fall behind Notre Dame. And I think BYU jumps ahead of them. And I don't necessarily know. They're not.
But what about we don't penalize teams that are in the conference championship to lose because it's an added benefit that you made it that
What if you lose to a team that's not in the playoff?
You know?
That's my only question. Last year, it was kind of everybody was in the playoff. Every team was already ranked when it happened. Like Penn State losing to Oregon. Penn State was already a playoff team. So the SEC championship, both teams were already playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, they weren't, but now we're looking at BYU right now as a team, when it comes to conference championship week, may not be a bracketed team. They very well may be, and that could be a problem for Notre Dame. But if they're not, and then they beat a bracketed team, does that bracketed team earn it? This scenario with BYU and Texas Tech is a little bit murkier just because those teams have already played each other.
Yeah.
They've already played each other. So it's for Notre Dame fans, you want Texas Tech to win.
Yeah, absolutely. So Pat, let me ask you, what is your confidence level that if Notre Dame covers spreads and plays well in the remaining 2 games that Notre Dame is in, what is that percentage?
I'm 99% Notre Dame wins out Notre Dame.
How?
99%.
Oh, so you're very confident. We have
I'm
some
very confident.
We have some Notre Dame people in here that are like on edge, man. Like
just because we're Notre Dame fans. We're always like that. We're always thinking we're going to get screwed because we've been getting screwed for so long. But honestly, people, it's been Notre Dame screwing itself with bad coaches. So we're tell me there's not a Freeman factor in this.
Is it a Freeman factor or is it a Notre Dame factor?
Well, it's probably a combination, but tell me there's not a Freeman factor. Marcus Freeman was the darling of the college football playoff last year.
Yeah.
He got so much press and so much airtime. The young, attractive black coach who has a team that no one expected to get there winning. Yeah. And I don't mean to put anything on the racial aspect of it. That's what the media likes. I look at Marcus Freeman as a brilliant, smart coach, and that's the only thing I care about. Yeah. So I think but he was a media darling, and the playoff loved it. He was all over everywhere, and they want that again. They loved it. So I think there is a Marcus Freeman aspect to this, and I'm all for it.
You know what else I wonder if there's a little of? All you guys on a hold, we're going to bring you guys up. Bruce, I'm going to get you up. I owe you a show. So, Bruce, you're going to come up next. Everybody on a hold, we'll get to you. I just, Pat, I wonder if there's a little credibility for Notre Dame now, too. With that playoff run last year, that really shouldn't matter. But sometimes I wonder if it does. Like, there's a little Notre Dame playoff credibility there now, too.
Right. Absolutely.
They can hang and do that and won't embarrass the committee. That's all over. That's all old Notre Dame. That's over.
Who was the most? I think when it came to Ohio State last year, you either thought Ohio State was going to get blown out by Tennessee, or you thought Ohio State was going to run to the house. Yeah. I think that's where Ohio State was. Does Ohio State recover from Michigan, or does Ohio State get embarrassed? And does the Ryan Day experiment end? And Ohio State went the other way and did what everyone thought that team should have done all year. Yep. That was clearly going to be the best team in college football all year.
Yeah.
Outside of Ohio State, then, what team did the most in the playoff? It was Notre Dame. I mean, Arizona State was kind of a cool story, but they weren't really deserving of being there. And so it was all Notre Dame. And that was the thing, and they stole the hearts. What was the biggest thing that came out of that last year? Marcus Freeman makes Notre Dame cool again.
Yep.
And the haters on the internet are all there complaining because they all have affiliations to schools that they want to see in there, and Notre Dame is the blocker. Once that ends, and once we get to the playoff brackets, that all quiet down, and then Marcus Freeman will become the star of the show.
Dude, this is just not true. John always thinks Notre Dame's going to get screwed. I opened the show by saying if Notre Dame gets bounced, I'm going to come on here and blame Notre Dame.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Maybe you weren't here 10 minutes ago, but that's literally not true. The first thing
I think you were referring to Notre Dame fans that think they're going to get screwed. You weren't talking about yourself. You were saying there's people in the comment section saying they think Notre Dame's going to get screwed.
Yeah, and I'm saying that wrong. If you don't make it, I'm not going to blame the committee. I'm going to blame Notre Dame for those bad the losses that should have been wins. No, right. If Notre Dame doesn't get in, I'm going to be mad, but it's not going to be at the committee. It's going to be at us.
Right. And that's what we did. It's the difference. That's the difference between a Notre Dame fan and a Miami fan. Well, I mean, what I should say, most Notre Dame fans. Miami fans are blaming the committee for having Notre Dame ahead of them. They're not blaming their own program for losing to SMU.
Yeah.
You don't lose to SMU. Louisville doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You don't lose to SMU. You don't have this problem. You lost to a bad football team, and now look where you're at as a result of it.
Yeah. See, that's another argument that I have, Pat, is if you're a Miami person, you should be way more mad about what you did against Louisville and SMU than whatever's happening.
Correct.
Where's your
I'm not mad.
I'm willing to blame Notre Dame for their losses and put all of that on us. I don't see them being, why didn't we take care of business against SMU as a double-digit favorite and we wouldn't be in this position? I'm mad at us for allowing this to happen. That's not the angle.
For sure. That's for sure. So at the end of the day, Miami should have blown that team out. Instead, they lose to them. So that's just what it comes down to. And I think when you look at it, you got a huge game this weekend with USC and Oregon, right? I think that's this weekend. I mean, if I am hard on USC. Let's go. I am willing to listen to that garbage song after every play.
Yeah.
Just so, because that'll knock out Oregon. But there's one other part of the bracket I wanted to look at, and it was the fact that the SEC has 5 teams right now.
Yeah.
They have Georgia, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, and Alabama. They have 5 teams in there. I don't think it breaks that way. I think there will be 4 at the end of it, and that's going to give them. So the obvious one is Alabama maybe get knocked out by Auburn. Hopefully, I'll take that one. But otherwise, it's an Ole Miss upset, and I still think Oklahoma has the sleepiest trap game in the history of trap games, playing Missouri at 11 a.m. after after winning the biggest game of your coach's career at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So
and you know what else, Pat? Let me add one more thing to that. LSU is a mess thanks to you-know-who, but there is still a lot of talented athletes. They could beat Oklahoma in that last game. If you like, LSU's got a talented roster, but Kelly messed everything up.
Messed everything up, right. And they still have, Oklahoma still has LSU. Yep.
Yeah.
So there's definitely ways that this can break out. And I think it just falls for Notre Dame safely. I don't know. It might be hard. It might be really hard for Notre Dame to get a home game this year.
Yeah.
It might be really hard, but I could see Notre Dame sitting right at 9 or maybe 10 at the end of this, and sweet. But there's 2 weeks left. There's 2 weeks left of this season where this thing can really change. You could have Oregon knocked out. You could have Oklahoma knocked out. You could have Bama knocked out. There's a lot that, I mean, I could see Vanderbilt sneaking into this.
Oh, that's interesting.
You would need both Oklahoma and Alabama to get knocked out, but you could see Vanderbilt sneaking into this. And if that happens, Notre Dame gets a home game.
Is there any way that Ole Miss has a problem in the Egg Bowl because they're distracted and upset with Lane Kiffin? Like, with all that drama, is there any way that they like shut it down because they know he's looking to leave? Like, I'm also looking at that.
Yeah, his family went to LSU, right? They were, LSU.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I don't know either. I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it, because what's the best way to keep your coach?
Yeah. Win.
Winning. Keep winning.
Yeah. There's a lot of football left to be played. Every time you get one of these brackets, people's default is that the status quo is going to be play out, and it almost never happens that way. There's always usually something. And so I am excited.
This thing has changed a lot. This thing has changed a lot already. So Notre Dame has held where they're at, but I think there's just enough buffer in there for Notre Dame to hold tight. I can't wrap my head. They haven't punished Notre Dame yet.
Yeah.
They've only rewarded Notre Dame. They haven't punished Notre Dame. I cannot see it where they have Notre Dame 9 and in 3 weeks kick them out after only winning.
Yeah.
Now, if you're barely winning, if you're playing more Boston College style games, more Freeman specials, you're gonna maybe you put yourself, up there.
Yeah.
I think Marcus knows what is at stake here. I think
he knows.
I bet you Marcus knows how much Miami beat Syracuse by.
Yeah. Here's another angle I want to hit on here. Pat, thanks for joining it early in the morning, straightening some of this out in my messed up brain. Here's the other argument I saw this morning on Twitter. I've seen people saying, how much are Notre Dame fans going to freak out if USC beats Oregon and then they jump Notre Dame and all this? And it's all going to come back around and Notre Dame's going to be mad. That will not happen because it's not an apples to apples comparison to Notre Dame and Miami. The difference would be Notre Dame has the head-to-head, but has also played really good football throughout that whole period. Not beat them and then lose 2 games they were supposed to win and look up and down. Miami's trending back up now, but you don't have any of that mess in the middle, which is where the Miami thing lost momentum. That's a different scenario. I'm not worried about that at all because you cannot say Notre Dame faltered after that win. They've gotten better. That's not apples to apples. That ain't going to happen. Yeah,
no, I agree, Johnny. I think, look, if you're a Notre Dame fan, I think you should feel really good about this. You're in a comfortable spot. You're not in a safe spot. You're in a comfortable spot. But I just don't see them. I don't see them kicking Notre Dame out if all Notre Dame does is go out and win.
Yeah, it's and I'm excited. I'm excited for Saturday. I want to get back to football, man. And I want Twitter to be more about look at this good play and look who did what. I really, really want it to be about the football. And what I don't want, last thing here. You want to make this fire louder? Go beat Syracuse by 10 points. Like, if you think like that, imagine the liquid poured on that fire to ignite it bigger. If you win, but you're not impressive, that is going to bring up that Miami thing 100 times that it is. You need to go focus on what you need to do and beat the crap out of this team by like 40 points. Sorry, that's the standard this week.
For sure. Pat,
Thanks a lot, buddy. Really appreciate you starting the day. Somebody said your background looks like how drunk guy was looking.
All right, I'll give everyone an update on the bathroom. We got all the plumbing finalized. The tub is set, so we can start doing drywall. So the drywall will get out of here, then the flooring, and then the vanity, and I'll be able to take down the blurs.
Is that when we get to see your drapes again?
You get to see my drapes again, but not my floor, not my carpet.
That's a YouTube violation. Pat, have a good day, buddy.
Later.
See ya. Oh, man. Here we go. I owe this guy a hit on his show. Bruce, what's up, baby?
John, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. So for those of you that know, you've seen Bruce on the show before. I've been on his show before. And I need you guys to go subscribe. The Format Podcast, Bruce Hope. Look him up. Subscribe. He does college football all over, NBA stuff. He's across the board. Really, really good work. Go support Bruce.
Appreciate that, John. Thank you, man. Wanted to get on here and just talk to you for a couple minutes about, I guess, mainly what you were talking about there with all the uproar over Notre Dame's positioning, et cetera. And there are some things, because I know you don't listen to most of the other people, but I try to consume as much of the sports media as I can. And there's some things that really got me. The first thing is Paul Feinbaum. We know who Paul Feinbaum is, the real mouth of the South, right? SEC homer to the ends of the earth. This guy had the nerve to complain that the committee, has a Notre Dame bias. Now, whether the committee has a Notre Dame bias or not, which, being objective and honest, I'm pretty sure they do, because they understand what a television draw Notre Dame is. Because if we want to be honest, last year's national championship game, I think, went over 22 million viewers on average, and that was the most watched college football game of the year last year. Gee, I wonder if Notre Dame had something to do with that, right? Last year's opener at A&M was one of the top 5 most watched first half of the college football season games. Like, we all know every time Notre Dame's on TV, people are watching, whether they're watching the Root, Subway alumni like myself, or whether they're watching to hope they lose. I get it. But the fact is, we can honestly assess that and know that the committee does value that part of it, because we got to be real. The playoff is also a television show. It's also a moneymaker. We get it. It's a business. So Feinbaum having the nerve to complain about anybody having bias when he's an SEC guy, get out of here with that, man. I'm not with that. Okay. 2, I listened to Joel Klatt this morning on his reaction of the recent college football playoff rankings. He's normally pretty fair and pretty objective, but he said something I thought that was interesting and laid out a compelling case for it. He says he believes that the reason Alabama is behind Notre Dame is to use them as a buffer between Notre Dame and Miami. And how they do it, and I'm sure you're aware of this, I don't know if all the other viewers are, they break the teams up into tiers, and they measure the teams against the other teams in their tier. And so they're trying to avoid getting into that thing with Miami having beaten Notre Dame head-to-head by keeping them in separate tiers. And that's why you have Alabama being a buffer. I thought that was a kind of astute assessment by Joel Klatt, man. What are your thoughts on that, John?
Isn't it a little confusing? Like how they're saying there's a gap, but then if they ended up in that bunch together, then they would start looking at it. Like, it's a little confusing. And I don't quite know what to make of it. And it almost does feel like they're trying to make up for, like, maybe having Miami a little too low in the initial one. And I feel like they're trying to, like, make up for that a little bit, but also trying to avoid the Notre Dame head-to-head thing when they already kind of made their claim that it didn't matter that much. They don't want to have to redo that. Like, So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So this is the same thing that we talk about every year, John. The fact that the committee refuses to standardize their criteria for making the tournament or not making the tournament, because they don't want to be held to account, and they want to be in a position where they can change it every week, and nobody really knows what their criteria is. So, you can't really push back.
Isn't that one of the biggest criticisms that everybody has of the committee is 1 week they'll get up there and they'll ration out something, and then it could change to fit what the next week they could use a whole different set of criteria to get to their end result they want.
Yeah. That's right.
It's very, very tricky. You know what else I think I've learned through this, Bruce? I think there's no doubt this thing's going to 16 now. Like,
Oh, I love it.
like if that's one thing I've learned
I'm
from
good
all
with
this
that.
drama is they're
Yeah.
going to 16, man.
For sure.
There's still going to be a lot of interest and people are going to watch the games. I think it's going to 16. And then we'll argue about number 17.
Right. Yeah, it's going to go to 16. The thing they have to figure out is, can they do it without totally capitulating to the Big Ten and the SEC saying we need a guaranteed number of slots, which again completely takes away the purpose of having a real playoff. Yeah. But so the head-to-head thing is interesting because on one hand you heard the committee say that head-to-head matters. On the other hand, you heard the committee doesn't necessarily look at who's most deserving. So that throws resume out the window then, right? Then you heard the committee say, well, we look at who we believe are the best teams. So it's like that allows the committee to pretty much do whatever they want at any given time. And that's tough. And I don't have an issue. I said this on my show last night. For anybody that comes down to it at the end, if Miami gets jerked and says Miami got screwed, I won't complain because they did beat Notre Dame head-to-head, and I've always been a guy that believes head-to-head has to matter. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite now because I want Notre Dame to have a shot at winning the championship and saying, no, and coming up with all this other stuff. If at the end of the day, Miami doesn't get in and people are complaining, I'm probably going to side with Miami here as much as I want to see the Irish win a title. So we got to keep it a buck.
Oh, yeah. If Notre Dame does end up getting bounced out by a lot of weird things at the end, I am not going to be mad at the committee. You have yourself to blame.
That's right.
If you just split the 1-1 to start, not 0-2, you're totally fine. Yeah. That is on Notre Dame. I am not going. People want you to plug your show, Bruce. Tell them where to find it again.
Yeah, for sure. My show is called The Format Podcast. You can find that on YouTube, or you can get the audio only anytime you don't want to see my face. I stole that. But yeah, you can find the audio only on Spotify or wherever you get your audio podcast. It's called
but at least you got a voice people want to hear. I don't have that. I got a voice that has to grow on you over time like a tumor to get used to. You can look at this. If I close my eyes and listen, I imagine this is what the voice of God sounds like. It's beautiful.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I love it.
But yeah, John, I just wanted to call in and share those thoughts, man. One, I was disgusted by Feinbaum. Two, I thought it was a very interesting assessment Klatt had about the Alabama placement and utilizing them as a buffer between Notre Dame and Miami. I thought that was really interesting. And then just, the whole head-to-head and the lack of criteria. But I will say this before I go, John. Just looking at what the prospective field for this 12-team playoff is going to be, I can say, and I've said this on my show as well, whoever wins the national championship this year, I think it's going to be the toughest national championship ever won in college. This field is brutal. And to get through that, there's really no easy path. There might be slightly easier in terms of who you got to play at the seeding, but there's no easy path.
And you know what I think has changed that is them correctly adjusting where the top seeds go to the conference champs, no matter how good they are and what their record is. Redoing that, I think, has a big impact on that, right? Yeah. Like, I think that's a big deal.
I can't wait till they get rid of that. That's got to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's this is going to be interesting, Bruce. I can only imagine what it's like for you in Florida with all this Notre Dame stuff going on, and you're down in SEC country, but kind of ACC land too. You're dealing with a lot down there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I can honestly say it's calmed down a bit because of what we did to Georgia last year in the Sugar Bowl. So the fact that we beat Georgia, an SEC blue blood, and who was the defending, just newly minted SEC champion, like, kind of calmed people down a little bit. Like, obviously they're never going to be Notre Dame fans down here, but it calmed them down a little bit with the reckless talk that we were getting all those years. So that was a huge win. And hell, if we can get another win against a big name SEC team, get into the tournament and beat another one, that'd be good for me.
Yeah, it'd be good.
That's my saving grace, even if we don't win it all.
Hey, man, in reality, I think it's a blessing Notre Dame's in this position. You could not possibly ask to be in a better spot at this point in the year for an 0-2 start. You totally credit Notre Dame for the comeback. and I hope it all works out. But it's like when you lose 2 games, you're Notre Dame, it's out of your control to a large extent. So I'm happy Notre Dame's in this position. I hope they finish it off. Anything on the way out, Bruce? Appreciate you.
John, that's it, man. That's all I got, man. Appreciate the
good
time.
One. And I got to get on your show. I owe you one.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Have a good one, buddy. Oh, that's the voice of an angel. The voice of an angel. WPP, what's going on, buddy? Good morning.
Hey, John, it's Pat from West Palm. Can you hear me?
You sound a little distant, but I can hear you.
Hey, sorry about that. Thanks for taking the call. And this playoff seeding stuff, I think that the problem that we all have is that there aren't any published guidelines for the committee, and the committee can just do whatever the heck it wants.
Yep.
That's a big problem. I mean, committees they're like governments, and they don't like to be constrained. And that's why you got to have laws, or in this case, rules that constrain what the committee can do. Right?
Yeah, they got a lot of leeway. And that is one complaint I think everyone has is the inconsistency. They can know what they want it to be, back engineer anything they need to justify it, right?
Yeah, and that's a big problem because, year over year, now that Notre Dame is getting better, the voices demanding that we join a conference get louder and louder. And so the bias against Notre Dame in a committee is going to show itself more and more as time passes. And so, the less power a committee has, the better. And on that note, I think that, if 2 teams have the same record, head to head has to be the first tiebreaker. I mean, that's the first tiebreaker in just about any sport that I'm aware of. The NFL, it's the first tiebreaker. Pretty sure it's the first tiebreaker in baseball. I mean, it's the first tiebreaker everywhere you go. And so everybody compares Notre Dame to Miami, but what happens if USC beats Oregon? That whole head-to-head thing, we're going to pull that card out of our back pocket and be called hypocrites. And so
you don't buy the difference between those scenarios. Like if USC beat Oregon, they couldn't shoot at Notre Dame because in that window of time between when Notre Dame beat USC and them being Oregon, Notre Dame's played really, really good football. Miami, on the other hand, has 2 losses they should have never had after beating Notre Dame, and that's a different calculation.
Yeah, but John, that whole notion of who's playing good football, who played bad football, that's very subjective. That's a matter of opinion. I think that head to head is not a matter of opinion. You know what I mean? Somebody won and somebody lost. And so
it's not an opinion. It's not an opinion, but how much you weigh that as a factor kind of is, right? Like what you're saying is a fact, but how much you weigh that against other things, that is where this gets complicated, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with you, except that I don't think you get to that weighing if there's a head-to-head to look at. You know what I mean? That's just my take on it. Yeah. I think maybe it hurts us this year when we look at our resume versus Miami.
Hey, Pat, I get what you're saying. If Notre Dame ends up losing out on this bracket and you're out, Notre Dame has nobody to blame but themselves. I'm not going to yell at the committee. I'm not going to be mad at anybody else. It would be our fault.
Yeah, but I mean, all of this, hand-wringing, though, I do think that if we win the next 2 games, it's hard to picture everything falling in place such that we get bumped down. I mean, it's not impossible, but I don't think it's likely. I think a 10-2 Notre Dame team will be safely in the field. I don't think we'll host, but I think that we'll be,
Do you believe that Notre Dame's got to look really impressive in the final 2? Is just winning enough, or do you need to beat these teams by 30 plus each to not even open the door for them to start going, I don't know about Notre Dame down the stretch with this Miami head-to-head? Do you feel like they got to have blowouts?
No, I don't think you have to have blowouts. It'd be nice to win by more than 1 score. But I don't think you need to blow anybody out. And, I'm not going to get into the whole running up the score, but look, if you're up by 30, I don't think you need to punch a touchdown in with 5 seconds to go to win by 37. I don't think anybody's going to look at you and say, boy, you didn't beat them by enough if you beat them by 30. It'd be nice to blow that. And I think the best thing Notre Dame has going for it in that regard is the starting time of the Stanford game, because no one's going to watch that game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one's going to watch that game. And so if we're up by 21 points and Stanford scores a cheap one at the end, and we struggled in the game, but we end up by 21, and then Stanford dumps a cheap touchdown in at the end, we won by 14. I don't think anybody on the committee is going to have watched that game and said, well, Notre Dame wasn't that impressive. I don't. That's the nice thing about that start time. I don't think that game is going to matter very much in the voters, in the committee's eyes, because they're just not going to watch the game.
Yeah, it's man, it's going to be really, really interesting. A lot of drama. I'm proud of Notre Dame for fighting back into this position. Maybe looking at what should be a 10-game win streak. And if you get in the playoff, then you just you let it rip and you do the best you can. Anything else, WPP? Thanks for joining.
No, thanks for taking the call, John. Appreciate it.
Hey, have a good day, and we'll see you on the Patreon chat, I'm sure.
Be good.
Take care. Oh man, this is everybody. Bruce's shirt was a camera. Everybody settle down. Everybody settle down. Liam, what's going on? Good morning, buddy.
Sonny, what's up? Go Irish.
Go Irish. If you're on hold, you're going to be on the air. We'll bring you guys up. What do you make of all of this, man? What did you learn from that committee? Where do you think the reality is, and what Notre Dame's got to do to get in or get bumped or whatever? Man, that's a good-looking beard. Man.
Johnny, I missed you on Monday. I watched the show. I wasn't able to call in, but that allowed me to have a little bit of time to research some other teams' schedules. I think some people on the committee, as well as some national media personalities, they're stuck in the past. They still think it's 2012, where the SEC is the only conference that dominates. If you think of the SEC, right? One, two, maybe 4 coaches fired this year. That's a quarter of people. That's a quarter of the teams, right? Then you got teams like Kentucky. You got teams like Mississippi State, 2-10 last year. The SEC didn't do too well in the bracket last year, right? Tennessee gets beat by Ohio State. Georgia gets beat by Notre Dame. So I think you got people who are still referring to the SEC like Tim Tebow was playing or something like that, or Julio Jones still on Alabama, and they're unwilling to change. I mean, if you look at some of these schedules, if I read some of the schedules out loud and didn't tell you the teams, you've got SEC schools who are ranked in the top 5 who have faced 4 of the fired coaches: Georgia State, then Kentucky, then Tulane, then Washington State, then the Citadel, then Mississippi. They're not very strong schedules, to be honest. And I think that,
Liam, let me throw this. I was thinking about this early this morning, and I don't know if I'm right or not, but I'm going to tell you how it feels to me. And you tell me from the research if this feels right, okay? A part of me feels like with the vast expansion of the SEC and the Big Ten, I feel like you end up in a spot where certain teams get hammered schedule-wise, and other teams play like 1.5 decent teams all year and somehow avoid the heavy hitters because it's such a big round robin now that you're not guaranteed that. And so that's my feeling. Is there any accurate validity to my feeling? Some teams get nailed and others seem to skate, but they're in these conferences that are perceived to be the most competitive. Am I right? Or is this just a perception in my leprechaun brain?
Oklahoma State has a crazy difficult schedule, crazy difficult. So it's kind of tough. It'd be tough to keep them out. Some might even argue with a 9-3 they'd be in based on the schedule. Whereas
in Oklahoma, right? Not State. Right? Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm a man. I'm 40. Whereas it looks like the Big Ten, they protect their top schools. Ohio State has 2 tough games. Who's the other one? Off the top of my head.
You know what else, Liam, too? The other thing is, man, it's hard to blame anybody for having Penn State on the schedule this year, because those were circled as a huge game against Penn State, and it ended up being totally worthless. But all summer you would circle Penn State on everybody's schedule as like a big game, and it ended up being worthless. You can't really help that.
No, that's just, well, the national media ranked them as a top 4 team, didn't they? Someone overhyped them and overhyped Clemson and overhyped LSU, and someone needs to be held responsible. The one thing I do want to talk about is people are emphasizing head-to-head matchups. If that's the case, why isn't Notre Dame the 1993 champs? More recently, I think LSU beat Alabama by a field goal in 2012, and Alabama was the one that went to the national championship. So it matters who you lose to, but it also matters when you lose to them. And as you've said before, losses later on in the season cost you dearly.
Yeah, it's man. So what is your confidence level that if Notre Dame wins out and plays well in the final 2 games they're going to be in? And is there any particular, like 1 or 2 scenarios that are top of mind of worrisome of how Notre Dame could get bumped? I'm just going to ask you guys, like, as you come up, where your confidence is and what worries you may have.
I think I'm along with Pat. I think I'm 95% sure that we'll get in. I think that if USC beats Oregon, maybe we have a chance of having a home playoff game. And I'm 100% sure that we need to cut ties with the ACC after all the memos that they have going on and advertisements trying to hype up Miami. I don't understand why we should even be affiliated with them. Cut ties. Let's play UConn, Navy every year. Schedule someone else.
Who is right in this kind of moral dilemma here, Liam? Tell me who's right, because Notre Dame is helping them financially, all right, by being linked to their brand at all, by playing their teams at all, putting butts in the seats. Like, even the half-ass deal we have benefits the ACC a great deal as far as getting that Notre Dame on the schedule and the branding, butts in seats, raises your strength schedule, playing Notre Dame, all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
So we help them out financially and profile-wise a great deal, and we're in bed with them contractually. Now here we are in a scenario where one of our contractual partners is shitting on us online publicly every day. Who's right or wrong? I kind of see their point, but also we've done a lot of good for them in this agreement and brought a bigger profile there. Who's right? Should they just sit this one out?
The ACC wants you to believe that this is a symbiotic relationship when in fact it's a parasitic relationship. Notre Dame benefits the ACC so much more than they benefit us. I mean, because we signed contracts with them, we lost our yearly. We don't play Purdue. We don't play Michigan State. We don't play Michigan. And those were fun little mini rivalries that we're missing out on. And I don't mind if Miami bumps their own team, right? They got to hype up their own people. They got to make money. They got a business to run. It's a private.
That makes sense. That's different than the governing body doing it.
100% fine with that, right? But then, right, you've got the governing body who is supposed to be representing your team to a degree as well, hyping another team. And you can best believe that if Virginia or Virginia Tech was in that situation, they'd be dumping on us too. And I think we should cut ties with them, quite frankly.
Yeah, and now here's the question about that. Do you have this is a modern day concern. Do you have any worries that Notre Dame may actually have trouble in the modern day filling out the rest of that schedule? If you don't have the ACC agreement and you need to go back to the old days where you got to schedule all 12 on your own, does that get hard for Notre Dame in the modern era where all these teams are looking at the playoff and they want to minimize loss risk? I don't know whether that's a reality or not. Would Notre Dame have trouble being able to fill out a schedule as teams just want to do loss prevention and not risk it? I don't know the answer.
I think they would have difficulty filling out an entire schedule, but I also think that at some point, if they succumb to joining a conference, I think their schedule gets easier.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a lot of Notre Dame purists, but maybe does it ever become a point where, like, all right, like the train's either leaving us and we're not going to have a schedule, or we got to hop into a conference? Obviously, if that were the scenario, you'd want to hop into the conference last minute.
Yeah, It is, man. And again, one of my conclusions from all this is you're going to go to 16, and maybe that ends up being the cap. But I just think, I mean, you look at all this drama, I think it's going to go to 16, and you could end up with some more blowouts. But man, if you go to 16, it is really hard to argue anybody is missing it that has a chance should be in it, right? Isn't that the cap? Come on, man. If you
16, you're going to get many 9-3 teams. There's going to be people that argue for like 8-4 teams should get in. And I think that, I suppose when it comes down to it, we're just talking about money, right? A 16 playoff just means more money, more games. I don't want to see a situation, as Bruce was saying, where there are automatic buy-ins. I'd like to see the 16 best teams. And that's the thing
sense.
On ESPN are confusing. This isn't the AP poll or the coaches poll. It's a different ranking system, and most of the pundits don't understand that. They don't even have their stuff together to explain it to their viewers. It's not the grandpa's AP poll from 1987.
Yeah.
It's a new way that people make or don't make the playoff.
Yeah, it is, man. Dude, I'm excited to get to Saturday. I want to see football again, and I want it to be about what's going on in the field again. It is a little tiresome, all of these debates and the hate and everything, and I'm right in the middle of it. I'm a part of the problem. It's just, I'm excited to get back to the actual football. And you know what else, too? I feel like every time you get one of these polls, one of these rankings, the bracket, the default is like, if the status quo holds. And that very rarely ends up being the case. But I think your default setting starts there. There could still be movement here.
No, you're right, John. The only poll that matters is the very last one, right? But in between now and then, it gives us something to talk about on our terrible, boring Wednesday morning. And it gives us to be mad at other than my credit score and my bank account.
Yeah. And I would argue the first playoff ranking matters a great deal as well, because it sets the tone of where they're thinking. And that is a big one as well. Like Notre Dame being where they were in the first one is a really big deal. Same with Miami being as low as they were in the first one and having to fight their way up. And it's interesting that there's a couple teams in between Notre Dame and Miami. And what's going to happen with that buffer? I don't know, man. It's good. For starting out 0-2, to be having this discussion is a blessing, and I don't want us to forget that.
I think so, too, and I think for this weekend, I don't care if Carmelo Anthony or Jim Brown show up. You got to try and put up a 75-piece. I don't care who's there. I don't care if you get an autographed picture of Angeli's Achilles brace. We got to put up 70. Go Irish.
Go Irish. Liam, have a good day. Thanks for joining, buddy. Always good stuff. You guys are funny, man. You guys are hilarious with some of your stuff. We got Dave, we got Tom, we got Mark, we got the main man. What's going on, David?
Johnny, you can hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
All right. So I feel like the committee has a little Goodfellas taste in my mouth. Like this week they'll say Miami and Notre Dame aren't in the same tier. Miami had 2 unranked losses, and Notre Dame's 2 losses were ranked teams with a combined score of 4. And then 2-3 weeks later, they go, we have to consider head-to-head. It's important. The wishy-washy kind of behind the scenes, no one can see into the meeting when they're talking, gives me a little bit of a mafia feel. I like it and I don't like it at the same time. It kind of goes with what you guys were saying.
Yeah, I think everyone has that general complaint because most people have been burned by it and favored by it. But I honestly think these guys know what they want to do, and then they back engineer an equation and a data set and a philosophy that leads to that conclusion, and it changes a lot. How they justify their rankings seems to change week to week of what they're leaning on, what they're focusing on, and what they're not. And it gives them ultimate freedom to do whatever they want, and it drives people crazy.
Also, I want to bring up that I do think that money and TV, and Notre Dame being a storied program since the 1920s, and very other few programs have that history, that helps. But I do believe that they want to put the best product on the field. Do you remember FSU's quarterback got hurt?
Yeah.
And they could qualify for the playoffs, and then they held them out. You know, if you have a 10-1 team going into the last 2 games and they really implode, let's say a D-back is injured and a running back, the committee has held a team like that out before. We've always said, I remember people saying in the 80s, in the 90s, end of the game, end of the season, middle end of the season, losses hurt more. If you lose August 30th by 4 points or September 6th by 1 point, and you crush everyone into December, it's just not going to matter as much, the early losses, as 2 unranked losses in November and late October.
That isn't even a new phenomenon. That has been
It's not.
That has been a thing for
40 years.
That it's more costly to lose late because it's just the rankings get bunched up and it's tighter, and they want, like, that's always been a thing.
You never know. In the locker room, the coach could lose the team. They don't respect them. And you never know what, it's like a family. It's like an organism. On the field is indicative of practice in the locker room. So the committee knows that. The other thing 2 more things I just want to say, and then I'll get out of here, is if we're really doing head-to-head, you know what year I'm going to bring up, 1993, we beat FSU by, a full touchdown, as on 4th down, they throw it from the 30-yard line. It gets batted down, and we have a comfortable win. And then we lose to the ACC champions, ranked in the top 10, by a last-second field goal, and they give it to FSU. So I don't want to hear it, with the head-to-head
and
stuff.
Couldn't you argue that that's even an easier head-to-head to figure out because you're dealing with 1 loss and not 2?
We lost to the ACC championship. Boston College was ranked in the top 10 at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So, and then the last thing I want to say is, I think Marcus was coming in 3 years ago. Like, he wouldn't get on the refs. He was very friendly and what have you. I love the Floyd Mayweather shoulder roll he gave Narduzzi at the end of the game. I know you said you missed it. I think
I saw it on the replay.
I love that. I love that little flair he had.
He had no time for that guy.
What do you think of that? Is he getting a little personality now that he was the 2nd best team in the nation last year? What do you think of that?
I think over the years he's found himself and what buttons to press when he wants to walk out of the tunnel, calm, cool, and collected, when he wants to walk out of there, firing them up, getting after the refs, showing some emotion on the sideline, getting that after them after bad calls. But yeah, he had no time for Narduzzi, and Narduzzi's just the immaturity of everything he tried to do in that final sequence. It's so Narduzzi. And the other thing is, he made a big deal about this game not mattering or whatever. We could lose by 100 as long as we win the other ones. They're getting the crap kicked out of them. They get their best skill player back, have him out there when they're getting killed. He gets his ankle rolled up and he's probably out for all those games that Narduzzi said mattered anyways. So he didn't even follow his own thing, he said.
And then he calls a timeout to try to get more points so he doesn't lose by 40 or whatever it was. So,
everything about that old thing made no sense. I'm just glad we got out of there with the big win. So I got to ask you, but I can't let you go without asking.
Yeah.
What is your confidence level that if Notre Dame looks good and wins the final 2, they're going to be in it? What is your percentage confidence level?
So I have to clarify, none of the other games go our way. Like Miami beats Pitt. USC loses to Oregon, all that type of stuff. 10-2 win. Let's say we win by 2 touchdowns or more, which is comfortable. It's not a blowout, but let's say we win by 2 touchdowns, 17 points or more. Yeah, I know that's more than 2 touchdowns, but let's just say around that figure, 3 scores to both Syracuse and Stanford. I'm 80%, 85%. Not 90, whatever, because again, you have the mafia factor. That's why I brought that up in the beginning of the phone call. The mafia never makes you feel comfortable. They can hug you one day and then kill your wife the next.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Yeah.
You never know what happens with them. So I'm in the 80s. I'm about a B confident that
I think what helps is the rationale and the philosophy to have Notre Dame ranked where they've been in these early brackets. That favors Notre Dame. Whatever metrics and whatever they're looking at has been a pro Notre Dame slant from the committee. Whatever data set they're valuing the most and whatever, it's been a pro Notre Dame thing. And if you just keep playing good, I don't know how you change course on that.
What favors Notre Dame is what Lou Holtz said. We're Notre Dame and you ain't. So we'll always have that factor. And that's why people don't like it. You know, people don't like the popular person in high school or what have you.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. I've accustomed to that since being a Notre Dame fan since 1990, as long as I became conscious, you know. But it just is what it is. And it was just so funny to me on Twitter and other social media. I'm not really on other social media besides Twitter, but let's say Facebook posts, whatever. You have all the Miami and SEC people saying unfair, unfair. And then the head mafia boss gets on and says to Reese Davis, we don't consider them in the same realm. So that's not an issue for us. You know, Miami lost to 2 unranked teams. We're not considering Notre Dame and Miami. So it's like we have to, as Notre Dame fans, especially you as a Notre Dame, I calling you a Notre Dame advocate would be disrespectful to you. In 2025, you're more than that, because with Goolsby, and I know the coaches watch you and what have you, I just feel like we have to separate ourselves from people that can type and post, because the authorities are not looking at what the social media is looking at.
Yeah, it is, man. But do you agree with me though? Considering the rough start Notre Dame had, you cannot complain about anything. This is as good of a position as you could possibly ever hope to deserve to be in for an 0-2 start. So I am thrilled we're in this position, and I'm grateful we're playing games that matter at this point after that start. I'm not going to let anybody forget that, man. This is awesome just to be in the mix.
Yeah, if you have 2 losses and you get into the playoffs, you have to, and you don't have the opportunity to win a conference championship, then something worked out for you. Other teams didn't go undefeated. The committee likes you. So to have 2 losses and you getting in, like I said, I'm 80% sure. So if we do, there'll be 20% of me that has a sigh of relief. So I agree with you that if we don't, it's our fault. And if we do, things worked out. You know what I mean? And a combination of us earning it. Even if you play high school, well, I won't say that, but even if you play 10 non-ranked teams, it's hard to show up 10 weeks, you know, in a row. I know we had a bye week or what have you. So there is credit to that. It's still D1 athletes. You know, they can still run and pass and tackle. So I think going 10-0, having a good product on the field and what have you really helps us out. There was one more thing I wanted to say before I went. I know I spoke about Marcus. Oh, I think that if Marcus stays for 5 more years, I will give the Joe Namath Jets guarantee that he wins one. 5 years. If he's there for 5 more years, I will go on the record saying that he brings a national championship to Notre Dame.
Man, he's got him in the mix, and there's more talent coming. You are about
5 years.
This is like the winning window. This is the closest the program has been since Lou's heyday to getting the thing over the hump. Freeman needs to get that thing done and get himself a statue before life changes and, you know, the NFL looks good to him or Ryan Day retired. Like, you better get it while the scenario's good for Notre Dame, man.
And I think that little, I think what I saw at the end with that coach and him giving the handshake, but also showing at the same time, you know, get out of here. I think Marcus is still in his 30s. So he's growing into being I don't want to make this sound disrespectful, but a confident, this is who we are. I don't take this disrespect. That the players see that, and it translates into winning. Yeah. You know, when in playing football, you're lined up against another man. I know these kids are 19, 20, 21 years old, but on the football field, it's all men. Mm-hmm. And to be pushed around by a lineman, a tight end, and to succumb to that and give in to that person across from you, that's not a winning team. But if the coach instills that with his aura, it goes down to the 19, 20, 21-year-olds that are playing across on the field that you might have beat me this play, but I'm not backing down. So I just like seeing that. I think if Marcus is with us till 2031, we have another championship there. And and if you do some research, I think Notre Dame is like the 5th highest championship winning team. I know Yale is up there and Harvard because they started in 1890. But you know what I mean? So if we can just keep on getting one every 10 years or what have you here on out, we're right in there with the most
one
championship
every
teams.
10 years, and here I am at 41, and it's been 30-something years, and I don't remember the last one because I was 4 years old, man. Like one every 10 years sounds really good to a
From
guy
here,
like
I'm saying from here on out. You know, I think, yeah. I think things have changed.
Yeah, it would be you know what I want, man? I just want one while my dad's still alive. So that's all I ask. Can I have one while my dad's still alive?
Well,
I gave up on getting one while my dad and grandpa are alive. That ship has sailed. So now I'm just hoping for one with my dad before one of us strokes.
I bought that Teeling whiskey because you had Brady Quinn on and with the Notre Dame symbol, and my dad has one, and we're not opening it until Notre Dame wins a championship, and then we might drink the whole bottle.
Oh, it's going to taste good that night. Hey,
yeah.
Dave, thanks for joining, man. Really good call. Join again, man.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Oh, man, it's good to get some new people in the mix here. Hey, Liam says, I'm going to try and come to the spring game. Hope to meet you guys. I'm going to tell you this. I absolutely love the spring game tailgates. It is low stress, low anxiety, no chance of Notre Dame losing. You don't need a parking pass. Everybody pays $300 to get in the white lot, and we don't know where to park. How do we get to John? Oh, it's chaos. The blue and gold game is awesome. It is low stress, no parking pass. I fly the flag, park in front of Frank Leahy, and everybody drinks their beer, and you hope you have a good weather day, and we all have fun. And the other thing is on the blue and gold, we can all sit together in the stadium because there's no seating. So we have a big group of people in a corner, and it's all of our people. I love the blue and gold one. And sometimes Johnny Boy gets out on the Friday night before we hit the town. Josh Miller's here, hit the town late night with Josh Miller and have ourselves some fun. So the spring game is awesome, man. So we'll do that tailgate every year. You guys are, it is so much fun. Yeah, Rudy's there. We have a good time. Our Rudy, not Rudy, our Rudy. Let's keep it moving here. Mark, what's going on, buddy? Good morning.
Oh, what's going on?
Whoa.
Oh, shit.
You're echoing.
All right, hold on.
We'll try that again. Otherwise,
I can't understand you.
Better?
Yeah, let's try it now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sitting here working on my bracket while I'm on hold. And my question is, now that they do the top 4 teams for the buys, so what happens if Alabama makes it to the SEC championship game and loses, and Georgia's ahead of Alabama? Like, what do they do with Alabama?
Yeah, it's a good
see
question.
My bracket?
Yeah, let's see the bracket.
I think I'm on to something. This is after the conference championship games.
Okay.
But obviously I have USC winning. But I don't know. Still a work in progress, but the USC Oregon game, I guess basically determines if Notre Dame's going to have a home game or not. And then, we can't fall past below 10 because of the, where the ACC is at, and then the group of 5. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Mark, what's your confidence level? Give me a percentage. What if Notre Dame wins out and looks good in the remaining 2? What do you think the odds are that we're in? How are you feeling? What percentage would you put on that?
Oh, we're 100% in. Yeah, we're 100% in. It's just a matter of, like I said, we're either on the road. Best case scenario, if USC can pull a miracle, maybe we get to host the game. But yeah, I mean, I'm optimistic, and I think considering our resume, we don't really have a very good resume. We beat 3 last place conference teams. You know, you look at Boise State, who's lost 2 in a row. They're down to 6-4. NC State stinks. Now they've lost 3 of 4. So, you know, we're hanging on USC, Navy, and Pitt, as sad as it sounds. So, yeah, I think we're fortunate that the metrics like us so much. I know Tim Hyde's on top of that. I don't understand all those computers and variables, but and I want to touch on some of the stuff. You know, I called in Friday kind of really high on CJ Carr, and I know it's hot in the streets right now to kind of cut him up and be critical and this and that. And then I even got a tweet here without naming it, but Notre Dame is going to win in spite of CJ Carr for the second time this season, the other being USC. And this is the kind of garbage that I'm kind of talking about, where, you know, and Freeman touched on it on Monday, but, you know, yeah, he only had 212 yards, but he had 3 touchdowns in a ranked win on the road against a good, you know, solid, you know, Pittsburgh team. And then, you know, they keep referencing that the USC game, and those 2 aforementioned games, he's got 350 yards and 5 touchdowns. And you get a tweet like this that's like, you know, like the guy that shows up at a group project and doesn't do shit but still gets an A. And obviously, you know, he didn't play his best. You know, he's had a couple like subpar games, but it's like a lot of these games he's still playing good. And then the USC game, you know, he didn't look the best, but like we were running the ball. So, yeah, I don't know. There's just like this thing now where it's like it's kind of cool to cut CJ Carr up. I think he's playing fine. And then like Freeman kind of talked on the presser about like how well he's kind of managing his offense and stuff.
And Mark, you know what? If you zoom out and you look at this, it's a very important thing for Marcus Freeman to show this program has staying power. Remember all summer when we talked about how important it was to make the playoff in back-to-back years for recruiting, for momentum, to show Notre Dame's not going anywhere, lock up an at-large bid for Notre Dame and conference people be mad about it. We needed to get into that playoff again. And to be able to do it with a young quarterback in his first year and all the ups and downs that naturally are going to come with that, that is a very, very good sign that the rest of your program is so stable and good. It can support a young, athletic, gifted quarterback that's going to have those up and downs and still be a playoff team. That is amazing. And it bodes very, very well for the future and all of the development of this program. This is a new one. I haven't seen that before. Bama Glazer. Well, at least he's honest. Notre Dame ain't doing ish. So overrated. Literally no natties. I guess welcome to the program, Bama Glazer. That's a hell of an introduction you made.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, you know, to what you just spoke on, I think that's, you know, good way of putting like how fortunate we are to have Marcus Freeman. And, you know, these next 2 games, he'll have won 23 of the last 26 games. I mean, if you really think about that and making back-to-back playoff appearances, I think it kind of solidifies us as, you know, a top 5 program. And, you know, only Ohio State has more wins than us the last 2 years. And I think, you know, I think we're like right on track. And, you know, and I think guys like Freeman, Lane Kiffin, Day, and Lanning, they're like perfect for college. And like all those guys, like, I hope they never leave because I think they're perfectly like suited. But a couple notes about the kind of the Syracuse game. I know it's kind of under the radar. No one's even thinking about the like game per se because of the playoff talk. But, you know, like again, you know, I know everyone's been saying it, but the job Chris Ash has been doing, like, I think there's no way this guy's a 1-year placeholder. And you know, it was on full display against Pitt, where they had like 80 yards at halftime. And I think if you subtract that last garbage time touchdown, they were at like 140 yards like before that. So like, you know, and they were like 0 for 13 on third down. Like, he's just cooking on all cylinders. And you know, I think they've given up 7 touchdowns the last 8 games or something like that.
Doing a terrific job. What a comeback from the first 2 games.
I mean, it's just so hard. It's just so hard to get an end zone against them. They make you work for everything. And but yeah, for these last 2 games, you know, just my notes are just keep playing dominating defense, figure out special teams, fine tune the offense, and then Jeremiah Love's only 302 yards away from the Notre Dame single season record. So I think that needs to be not a priority, but something that should happen like without even.
And the guy split carries all this time because we have more than one good back. So it's really it's an interesting spot to be in.
Yeah, they have like a 60-40 split. So you know, I think but yeah, that's all I got. I had I think I had like 51-14 is my prediction Saturday.
Ooh, in the 50s. I like it.
And then I'm like I said, I'm praying USC can pull something out of their ass and get a win at Oregon.
That would help Notre Dame a lot. You're in a weird position to have to root for USC. Mark, thanks for joining us on a Wednesday. I'll see you on the Patreon forum.
All right, see you. Bye.
See ya. Oh, man. You know what? God bless Mark. Guy works a lot of overnight shift, I think. So then he's working all the time and then gets off. And then my show goes live and it's morning for everybody else, but it's night for Mark. That's dedication because I know he's working that overnight, baby. Okay. Chicago's very own. What's going on, Tom? Good morning.
Hey, John. I'm doing okay, my friend. I just wanted to big shout out to everybody last night. After the playoff committee released it, you know, their the actual seeds and the way they are, and you know, a couple of people like Patrick Cotter, thanks for simplifying, you know, how things really, you know, the main things we should worry about or not worry about. And, you know, it's great to have that because I can't wrap my head around something that is not tangible yet. You know, we still kind of have to wait to see what's going to happen on the last week and the selection day. And, you know, like you said, John, there's nothing much that we can do to control that except the things on the field. So having said that, I saw some things in the film sessions with Jared Clark and Mike Goolsby that really make me optimistic more than the average person because.
What did you see and what do you like?
The defense. So as the old axiom, defense wins championships, right? Well, I saw, you know, you look at the play of 2 people, KVA and Tay Johnson, and how they're using them in nickel situations and passing downs. And it's amazing to see how much ground those 2 can actually cover. They are a sexier football team, and they're a much quicker football team when those 2 guys are on the field.
And you know what else too, Tom? Confident. They're a more confident defense. That defense that looks so unsteady and unsure early, that is totally come around, and they are playing with confidence and physicality and freedom, and they're flying around, and it is absolutely beautiful. And I got to give Ash credit. After those first 2 games, even if I include a rough first half against Purdue, they have given up 14.5 points a game since then, and that is winning football. It lines right up with the expectations for the Notre Dame defense. They are who we thought they were. It just took them a while.
Well, and again, we didn't realize that this is the work in progress that they were going to be. We just wanted to plug the Al Golden 2024 defense into this offense. And here, it's a different team. It's a different vibe. But thank God the nucleus of this team knows what it's like to play in December and January.
Yeah.
And if you don't think that means a lot, it does. There's nothing. There's the greatest teacher is experience, and when you've got that kind of experience and you're cohesive, I think you can go a long way, especially with what they're able to do on defense. Now, the things that I saw Jared Clark talk about last night, he even noticed there were some plays in the running game that they are starting to get away from. And you can see the maturation of Jeremiah Love just within the season. So when he broke that 56-yard touchdown run, he did that because of his patience. He let his eyes and his brain go to work before his legs, and the result was another spectacular Heisman moment for him. I hope that Notre Dame shows up this Saturday, and I hope he runs for 350 yards.
Yeah.
I really do. I want that. I want him to physically take the team on his shoulders and with everybody worried about the college football playoff. Oh, and by the way, prepare yourself for all the what if scenarios that the announcers of this game are going to do. They're going to drive us crazy with, well, if Notre Dame does this and Notre Dame does that, they're not going to get in, or do they deserve to be in? That's going to be their. It's almost like clockwork with them. So I want Marcus Freeman to I want Jeremiah Love to remove all doubt and also kind of change the narrative and he become the focal point of the team and run the football down their throats so they've got something else to talk about. You know what I mean?
I'm with you, Tom. So what is your confidence level that if Notre Dame same question I ask everybody, I find it very interesting. If Notre Dame wins out and looks good doing it, what do you think the odds are they're in the field?
95%.
Woo, baby.
Yeah, and I still think the cachet with the nation. Love them or hate them, people want to see Notre Dame, but Notre Dame is a very interesting team. And, with the defense now gelling and peaking at the right time, nobody wants to play Notre Dame. But I as a Notre Dame fan, there's a few teams that I'd like to play. And one of them begins with Ohio State, and the other one begins with Alabama. I'd love to play. I would love that. It's great for college football, but we'll get our chance. I really believe we'll get our chance. I think Indiana's going to get exposed. I think Oklahoma's going to get exposed. So we're going to find out. As to what happens this weekend, I don't know. I think it's a tall order that USC goes into Oregon and knocks them off. I really do. Unless Maeva can have a huge day. That's a pretty good defense that they're playing. So other than that, I'm just going to enjoy Saturday. And hopefully,
that's the thing, Tom. In the middle of all this drama, man, it's just going to be good to watch the actual games happen again on Saturday. Like what actually should matter. It's going to be really, really fun to just watch some good old football, and hope Notre Dame has a good senior day. Send everybody off right. Anything else, Tom? Thanks for joining in the morning.
Yeah, no, that said, it's a great time to here. I'm just like Pat said, I'm going to cherish this. Yeah. It's like everything all the white knuckle and the worry and this is the secret sauce, man. This is what it's all about. That we're relevant again. Notre Dame's back, and as long as they get a chance to compete, in this playoff, that's all we want. So that's all I got. Listen.
Yep, it's gonna be an exciting finish, and I'm glad Notre Dame's in it. I'll see you on the Patreon, Tom.
Sounds good. Good luck, go Irish.
Have a good day. Oh man, you guys are good. DC Skater, $5 holler. I'm going to Love's autograph signing come Friday. Too bad he's only signing the comic book, nothing extra. Would love to get a photo of that 98-yard run. Hey, I hope your back's feeling better, baby. Hope you're able to do them double ollie flips. Andrew, what's going on? Welcome.
Hey, what's up, John? How are you today?
Man, there's a lot up, and Andrew, I am not smart enough to be able to wade through all of these scenarios and the what if, and I don't have the brain capacity to be able to process it all. And I admit that, man, it's a little overwhelming when I logged in today and there's 80 scenarios in the chat and my brain hurts.
Definitely. Yeah. And I'm not quite as confident as Tom. I would say I'm fairly confident if Notre Dame wins out, they're in the playoff. But I think I would just point out a couple things that that would worry me a little bit. Number one, I think it was really great news that Notre Dame was ahead of Alabama this week.
Yeah.
But this committee, if you, especially if you listen to Tim Hyde and stuff like that, they're heavily reliant on those computer those computer rankings, and one of them is Sargren, and that Sargren poll that I think that is one of the data points they use. Despite and they even have Arkansas fairly high, but despite Auburn's really poor record, they're considered a top 30 team in that computer ranking. The computers really like Auburn. So if Alabama, they have essentially a bye week this week, with I think they're playing a group of 5 school or a 1AA school, but in that final week, if they go in and beat Auburn at Auburn, I think that's probably enough to flip Notre Dame and Alabama. So then now all of a sudden Notre Dame's kind of in that 10 spot. And this is just if it's all chalk, if it ends up all chalk, everybody wins out that's supposed to win. That concerns me because I think this is just my opinion. I think that they're starting to feel the committee, just like AP voters in 1993 felt pressure to move Florida State up, or to give them the national championship. I feel like they're feeling a little bit pressured because what is the reasoning if it's all about computer rankings and stuff like that and eye tests? What is the reasoning to move Miami up 2 spots over Vanderbilt? Bringing them much closer to ND and potentially putting a situation together, especially if BYU were to lose to Cincinnati, where all of a sudden now Miami's right in the same pod as Notre Dame. Because what they keep saying is they look at these pods of 4 teams, and that's how they sort of judge them. And that Notre Dame and Miami have yet to be in that same pod, so they're not really using the head-to-head. They're really just looking at, they're separated right now by the losses, which is that's why it's also annoying. These people like Ari Wasserman is, they instead of saying, hey, this is the criteria that the committee's using and this is the basis for it, they're kind of ignoring that and just going straight to head. But if the committee figures out a way to get Miami into the same 14 pod as Notre Dame, that head-to-head is going to be huge. And so
isn't there a visit? I struggle with that philosophically. If you already made the determination that there was a gap in the play there in the middle of the season, and that's why Notre Dame started way ahead of Miami, and then Notre Dame continues to play really, really good football, and then Miami starts to play better football, I don't understand how that closes the gap. If there was a gap there and Notre Dame has not relented at all, how does the gap close? That's the part philosophically I'm struggling with.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I think it is.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, I think it is. At the end of the day, even though they have their metrics, and these are humans doing the polling, and like if you're Vanderbilt, aren't you asking yourself why did Miami hop us by beating a mediocre North Carolina State team at home? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But they did, and so that's kind of big. Now they've got them anchored ahead of Vanderbilt. Now Vandy still has two good games left, so it's not like it can't be flipped again. But I would just say that it worries me that they keep moving Miami up because that's the guy said it. He's like, right now it's the losses. Miami's two losses were so egregious that we're not even comparing him against Notre Dame yet. But he did leave the caveat that said, hey, if enough teams in front of Miami lose or don't look good, they'll eventually be in that so-called pod with Notre Dame. And then I think that's when the rubber's going to meet the road, and are they going to really keep Notre Dame ahead? So I'm not saying they are going to put Notre or Miami ahead. I'm just saying that these are human beings, and you go on Twitter, you go on ESPN, and it's being broadcast, 24/7 all week that this is unfair. What's going on with Miami? I think that they're starting to be a little susceptible to giving Miami especially with Miami being boxed out by how ridiculous the ACC schedule was this year. They're being
Yeah.
boxed out of the ACC championship. So I'm just a little bit worried. I think I'd feel a hell of a lot better. Everybody keeps mentioning, the USC Oregon game. I just don't have any faith that USC can go into Oregon and beat them. Oregon is just a different team at home. Indiana made it look easy, but I think Indiana's a really damn good football team. I don't think USC. And then honestly, since USC played Notre Dame, I don't think USC looked really good against Notre Dame. I was really impressed by how they played. I thought Notre Dame had to really play their butts off to win that football game. After that, they played Nebraska, and Nebraska's quarterback, who was their entire team, got
Yeah.
injured like I think halfway through the third quarter, and USC still barely beat them. Then they played Northwestern, and the score looked pretty good, but Northwestern was in that football game for a while. USC had to honestly cheat in that game where they suited up their backup quarterback, had them put on the punter's jersey, which is actually illegal for them to
Yeah.
do. And they got a big first down out of it, and then like they won 35-10. But like I watched that whole game, it was a little bit closer. And then last week, it's like I guess you give them credit for beating Iowa, but the way I look at Iowa is like Iowa at home is like a completely different team than Iowa on the road, and it was like it took a Ruthian effort, like in the fourth quarter for USC to pull that game out. You know what I mean? So just like I do not have faith that USC is going to go in and beat Oregon in Autzen Stadium because it's really, really hard to do that. I almost put more on the Missouri Oklahoma game. And the reasoning behind that is Oklahoma has played a gauntlet
Yep.
over the last 5-6 weeks. It's like their schedule has been ridiculous, and then they
Look,
even
it's you and Pat agreeing on something that could be tricky. They're coming off the big win.
yeah, just like it might be a look pass game, and Missouri's defense is pretty good. The problem with Missouri is their quarterback's injured, and so they're starting a freshman guy. Missouri does have a really good running back, and so
Yeah.
I mean, don't take my word for it. Look at Vegas. Technically speaking, or at least it was yesterday on FanDuel. Missouri was a closer dog to Oklahoma than USC is to Oregon. So like I'm almost hoping in the early game Missouri knocks them off because I just Oklahoma, for how good Oklahoma has been this year defensively and for how good that Mateer guy is at quarterback, they have really struggled to score points. And so my hope would be, I don't know, Missouri just sneaks out a really tough win, and then that kind of settles things because we just need a couple. Be nice if Oregon, Oklahoma, and maybe Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl, if they just lose, then that would make me feel a lot better. If it's all chalk, I worry, and especially if BYU loses, because then if BYU, so right now in front of Miami are BYU and Utah. If BYU loses this weekend, it's the game day. Game days in Cincinnati for BYU Cincinnati. If BYU were to lose that game, why wouldn't Miami move up 2 spots? Because obviously BYU would drop, and then wouldn't Utah drop as well? Because that would hurt Utah's strength of schedule. So so yeah, I just think that it worries me a little bit if it's all chalk. I don't think it's automatic that Notre Dame gets in, and it's largely because of all the pressure the outside noise is putting on this committee. I mean, there was no reason for them to move, in my opinion, there was no reason for them to move Miami ahead of Vanderbilt. And I think that's a signal that they're trying to give Miami the benefit of the doubt. So
hey, it's going to be interesting. If you want to not be in this position, don't lose 2 games if you're Notre Dame, and you wouldn't be worrying about it all. Andrew, thanks for joining us on a Wednesday, buddy.
hey, thanks for the time, man. Appreciate it.
Have a good one. 559 on the line. What's up, baby? You better pay attention. I don't want you getting electrocuted on me now. You better be careful messing with them live wires, bro.
Man, what's up, John, man? Check this out. Everybody over there.
You better focus on your work, man.
Man, look, John. I'm always careful on this subject, but real quick, I want to let you know. We are Notre Dame. What y'all tripping on? Let Notre Dame handle business. We're going to get 4 quarters the next 2 weeks, 4 quarters of you know what. Can't say what I want to say, but you know what? Because I'm at work. But other than that, just work. Man, miss me with all that miscellaneous at Miami and all that. You know what? Let it play all out. Like you said, John, at the end of the day, it's on us because we didn't take care of business when we should have. Let's hold ourselves accountable for our mistakes too. Let's not ask for miracles. Let's not ask for the committee to give us a bone. None of that. You know what? We stand on business. And you know what? If we don't make it, that's on us. Nobody else. But guess what? Notre Dame has a hell of a shot. And you know what? We're cooking. And let me tell you, let me get that kicking game right. Let me get that kicking game. We got a month and a half to get that kicking game right. And once we do, we're going to give a full quarter of the team up to Miami, and we're going to win this natty. So shut the hell up. Go Irish.
Dude, I love you. Anything else, or do you want to get back to work? I feel bad.
I got to get back to work, John. I just wanted to say that real quick, man. And you know what, John? It's a beautiful. Enjoy these last 2 weeks. Let's send out our seniors with some pride and honor, dignity, and give our fans what to cheer about. Enjoy the hell where we are. We are at a good spot. We're under a great coach. Let's figure this out and let's keep him around. Let's do what we got to do to keep him, my boy. Let's keep him bougie. Let's give him that bag. You know what? We got that bag. And we could give them that back. We just need to make sure that everybody's with it too. You know what I mean?
Oh, man, I love you. Get back to work. Dude, I feel like one of these times he's going to end up on like the company's like website where they're like, here's what not to do at the workplace with dangerous electrical equipment. And it's all on evidence too, because it's all recorded. It's all recorded, man. Oh, man, that's so funny. I always think of it every time him and Renee call from work, man. It is.
Hey, how's it going? You're working.
You're working. Let's get Renee at work real quick, and we'll wrap up the time. Yo.
Oh, hey, John, hold on. Okay, stop. Hey. Oh, John, what's up, man?
What's up?
No, I'm just running this lift. Hey, Blazer, you know you can't. Don't come in here with that rant. I'm about to lay down the hammer on Alabama track, so you know you got no chance. That's right, I'm coming with my mic, representing where the Irish start. Where the Irish... Oh, hold on, John.
Renee, I got to get you out of there, dude. There's too much going on. Somebody was hacksawing something. There was just too much going on, but God bless you guys for calling during work.
You're good, John. You're good.
There, I got
Can you hear me now?
You're
all right.
Up.
Hey, Blazer, you know you can't. Don't come with that rant. I'm about to lay down the hammer on Alabama. That's right. Coming with my mic, representing where the Irish fight. The greatest program in all the land. Catch these hands. You're lame. You know we taught you in college football the game. That's why they say onward victory to Notre Dame. Yeah. Yeah. What's up, Johnny, baby?
Dude,
that's for that Alabama dude that's in here, homie. Don't come in here with the SEC trash. Don't come in here with that.
Dude,
I went into that chat by myself, giving it to all those SEC trash fans. None of them could come on all my facts. That you rigged college football with the championship game. You started the junior high thing. None of your your Georgia, LSU, and Alabama for the last, when you guys only have 12 teams, none of them, it's mathematically impossible to have 10 wins. You guys schedule, uh, you guys schedule, the junior high team before rival week, so your starters don't get hurt. I mean, it's all facts, man. It's all facts. You don't leave west of Texas, so the committee's got to take all that shit into consideration. Like I said, hey, man, hey, just like what the Irishman told told Benny Siegel on Mobsters. Remember, Mad Dog Cole was an Irishman. It's not about numbers. Anybody can rack at numbers. It's about style. You know what I'm saying, baby? Facts.
Renee, I love you, man. I love that energy.
I love you guys. Hey, Johnny. Hey, anybody who be there, I'll be getting there. I'll be getting to there. You know what I mean? So just hit me up. Send that info to Fault Life for me, Johnny. I got a big back. You see us loud. I'm filling up all these things, pushing through. But I love you guys. Onward Notre Dame. Had to get that to the Alabama fan, brother.
Hey,
love you.
Be safe, man. These guys are making me nervous with all this heavy construction, man. I hear saws. Now I hear saws. We're dealing with the live wires. The guy's driving a vehicle. I don't want nobody to get marved like Home Alone 2. Ooh. When Marv gets electrocuted, I got to be careful around here. Adam, what's going on, buddy?
John, what an unbelievable show. This has got a lot of fire and a lot of energy, you know, just with everything that's been going on. It's awesome to watch and listen to.
Adam, I'm telling you, I'm not exaggerating or playing it up. Like, my brain is a little exhausted trying to figure out all these scenarios and like what could go wrong, what could go right, what should I look for in the bracket and win, lose, all this stuff. It's like I'm really looking forward to just Saturday when we can watch football again.
Yeah, for sure. And and that's what it's going to come down to for us, is because it is in our hands and it's not. It's in our hands to go out there and win, no doubt. But I'll tell you right now, mathematically, if you want to break it down that way, and technically, even if we go 10-2 and route Syracuse, route Stanford, and handle our stuff, there's still a chance we're not in. And the reason why is because of
That was a very interesting time to lose connection.
You there, Johnny?
Yeah, I got
Man, with this new format, whenever I get phone calls, it kicks me out. So it's like a pause or whatever. Sorry about that.
Good to be popular.
Yeah, I guess. But it's more the idea that if we go out there and we do win, but all the other teams win, and we have a ton of teams that are 10-2, and let's just say doomsday scenario is that Miami does go into the championship for them for the ACC, and they do win and then they create this pool or this competitive pod that they're talking about, and we are in that. There are chances that we could be kicked out. So it's not 100% guarantee, but there is a great deal that is moving for us because of the fact that we have Bevilacqua in the committee. We have these other people that are getting the human element of understanding and seeing, you know, I think the Notre Dame brand and the Notre Dame power that we've been pushing out there for the last couple of years. And that is attractive. And so that does happen. And I think there is that human element that does want Notre Dame in. And that's also another reason, as Pat and some other people have put in there, that you have Alabama as kind of like this buffer. Because if you compare Alabama's wins to us, they have currently right now, they have 4 top 25 wins. We only have 1. So what was the reason? I think that was the biggest, you know, there was a lot of contradiction that was happening and a lot of questioning that was happening. And it wasn't just with Notre Dame. It was, you know, why certain teams were jumping other teams. And it just, but Notre Dame was obviously the big focal point. So it's unfortunate for the college landscape if you're looking at it that in that regard, but it's really fortunate for the Notre Dame fan base just because it puts us in a pretty good position. But don't be fooled by this. I mean, there are scenarios if there's so many different teams that could go 10-2 and there's just not enough slots, and especially with the way the format is, where you have someone like Tulane who has a strength of schedule of 71 is going to get that 12th spot just because we're going to, you know, give it to the little guy, which is, you know, in one aspect, I'm like, hey, that's awesome because it's such a cool thing for, that team and for for like the American division and all these different things and conferences. But at the same time, are you going to keep out a Notre Dame, but keep a Tulane in? It's really interesting how that's going to play out. So there's not really 12 spots. There's really like 11. And then if you break it down to that, because Notre Dame can't win a conference, subtract 4 out of that. So now you're getting into single digits of possibilities. And so that's where the head-to-head comes into play as well.
And it's called don't lose 2 games and you wouldn't have this issue. Like
100%.
I'm so frustrated by it because we caused our own mess to be in this position and be all stressed out. It's really frustrating, man. I don't know. All I know is my key takeaway is this thing's going to 16. That's where I see it going.
Oh, yeah, John, with the amount of controversy as well as money that they see right now, the popularity of college football in general, the fact that it has to, society today is so based around like reality TV and just, YouTube and just different things of that nature, podcasting, all these different things are so popular and they see that. And, what's crazy is that college football only has 12 weeks. In its regular season. That's it. And then it goes into playoffs, like a month later or whatever. But with those 12 days of actual Saturdays, I mean, I know that there's games throughout, but for the main 12 days that there are every day there's some kind of content or something that's buzzing, and that just creates dollar signs. And they know it, they see it, their business, they get it, and so that's why they're going to push for it. And you're going to see 16 coming up real quick.
Yeah. I think that's where we're headed. It's so interesting, all the different angles, man. You could pick a philosophy and an angle on this and find all the stats and the metrics to justify your position. Like anybody could do that. Everybody's doing that. And all it matters is how the committee's doing it. It's a wild scenario.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, I think the biggest thing that the committee has going for them is the lack of transparency. They get to say and put out there what they want. And then if they contradict themselves, or if, it's something where, Reese sits there and said, hey, 2 weeks ago, I know it was a different chairman because he had to leave, but he said this, and now you're saying that. There's not a whole lot of consistency, at least the way that it transpires over to us, the viewers, right? But within their, realm, they're sitting there going, hey, we know exactly what we want to do, right? And I guess the way the rules are is so like if they're talking about Notre Dame, from what I understand, that means that if a representative for Notre Dame or whatever the school is that they're speaking of at the time is in the room, they have to actually exit the room to make a vote. So obviously, Bevilacqua couldn't sit there and say like, hey, I'm going to, obviously I think Notre Dame should be ahead of Alabama and whoever else. So they try to make it as fair as they can in there. But, the reality is that human elements there and, people build relationships and they also know dollar signs and they also know brand, and that's what they see. I guarantee you, if Notre Dame is not in this for whatever reason, and a team like Tulane or whoever it is gets in, or James Madison or whatever, it's not, those teams are not going to do what Arizona State did last year, right? They're going to do worse than what SMU did, pretty much. I mean, they're just going to get destroyed.
Is the solution to that you only do the group of 4 or whatever, group of 5 or whatever, if they're at a certain threshold of ranking? Right? Like, could you do that? Like, if they're in the top 18, then they get to be in the top 12. But like, all right, I don't know. But like,
no, Johnny, you make it. I mean, the simplest thing in my mind,
and you go to give the little guy a chance,
Exactly. And this is the hardest thing about it, right? So if they go to 16 teams, which obviously we all believe that they will, then that means that you're now creating teams that have a possibility of 3 losses, as well as teams that might only have 1 or 2 losses, but are in a lesser conference, could get into that 16th or 15th seed. Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to make it the fairest of all, it's if you want like the best competitive football out there, you just go, hey, ranked 1 through 16, and that's it. And it's just wherever you fall, and it's not like you automatically get in. Even if you're ranked 24th, you get that 12th spot because we want someone from the group of 5.
Yeah.
But they have to, they're trying to make it as equal across the board as you can. But at the same time, it's like, do you think I'm going to tune into Georgia versus, Tulane? I mean, I probably
Yeah.
would just for a second, but it's not going to it's not going to, captivate me the same as like Notre Dame, Oklahoma, obviously, or even if it was Alabama, Oklahoma, or whoever. It just, you got to think about the matchups, and that's what it really comes down to. Is they want competitive football, they want competitive matchups, because the viewership is what drives the dollars, the advertisements what drives the dollars.
Yeah.
So fairest thing in my mind is you just go 1 through 16, and then you allow, by adding those extra 4 spots, you're allowing those teams in the back end from the American Conference and so forth, like someone like Navy, right? Or whoever, or South Florida, if they did just, not lose those games, win and move up.
Yeah. It's man, this is what a complicated scenario. And sure enough, Adam, Notre Dame is a lightning rod, and they end up right in the middle of the juiciest drama you could. Nothing's ever boring in Notre Dame land. I've said it forever. I'm going to say it again. There's never a dull moment in Notre Dame land, right in the middle of all the drama.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And the amount of just fury that has been coming out of this has been incredible. I mean, the podcast and all the different things that were popping and the shows that were popping after the reveal last night went straight to Notre Dame and Alabama and how you could, and the comparisons and all those different things. And here's the reality. I don't blame them. I don't blame them looking at it going, I don't get it. What are you doing? How are you putting this team in front of that team? How did this team lose and they dropped 6 slots, but this team lost and they dropped 7 slots? Like, what was the criteria for moving these teams? Or how can you have Vanderbilt sitting here or so and so? I mean, it's just every single move that they've made other than the top 3 has got, some kind of like question mark.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue because of the fact that we're all people and we're all going to have our difference of opinion. But the reality is, without transparency as to like what your absolute criteria is, here's steps 1 through 10 or whatever it is, we're all going to be sitting here questioning it because we're like, well, I don't get it. What do you mean by this? And then, Reese only gets like a couple questions with whoever the commissioner is of the time, or the committee chair. And then he's got to move on to to something else.
Yeah, man, it is it's complicated. It's a little annoying. I understand. And here's the other thing, like there could be multiple varying argumentations that are legitimate, right? Like you could come up with good arguments for a lot of this stuff that are against each other, but I could say, yes, I understand the way you're thinking of this. Like there's a lot of room for interpretation and movement here.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And at this point, there's 2 things that we need to do as Notre Dame fans. We need one, obviously, us to go in and not just win, but win convincingly. And I loved, who was it? Mark with glasses talked about like 52-10 or whatever it was. It's like, yes, do it convincingly, get in there. Don't leave any doubt, because that is part of there are all these little variables. There's all the different ingredients. They all get thrown into the pot. You want them all to be as strong of an ingredient as the next. So take care of business on our end. That's number 1. Number 2, as far as like Stanford goes, I was shocked that they moved it up to 7:30. That was pretty crazy. They've had it to be determined for a while, but it was going to be slated as a possible noon or 1 o'clock game here. So that would have been, 4 o'clock on the East Coast, and then they bumped it up to the. Still got you, John?
Yeah, you got me.
Sorry. So it's just interesting to see how how that plays out and why, but will the committee be able to, look at that game at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning? Will they? I'm sure they'll look at it and just say, like, did they win and by how much? Kind of like the Boston College thing, and it won't affect us as much. Just become a really big fan of anybody who's has 2 losses. We need Miami to lose. It's not going to hurt us in the long run. just give them that third loss so it takes away that equation, of the head-to-head.
I believe they finish at Pitt, and
They do.
What's interesting with that is you never know what kind of cold, nasty, horrible weather you're going to have finishing at Pitt at that time of the year. And Miami's barely had to leave the state of Florida for any of their games, home or away. So it's going to be really interesting. I hope for some cold, shitty winter Pennsylvania weather.
Yes, exactly. And that, it's so interesting because they play against Virginia Tech. Who knows how that's going to go? It could be weird or whatever. Maybe they're looking forward to, to their last game. And then you go and play against Pitt, and could Pitt pull something off? I sure hope so, because if they pull something off and Miami gets that third loss, it kicks them out. There is no head-to-head. There's nothing that we have to worry about. The ones that get really weird for us, John, just to keep an eye on it, is a team that gets into their championship for their conference and then loses. And let's say it's like BYU, and they have one loss and then they lose, and it's now their second loss, but they lost in the conference. Are they going to be able to sit there as a committee and say, we're going to penalize you for going to a conference? Because then it's going against anything that they were talking about before, that if you go to a conference game, it should not be a detriment to you at all. If anything, it's a positive, because they don't want to lose the revenue and the games and everything like that, and the meaning of going to a conference, because then you have these conferences that are going to say, well, we're not going to do the championship game anymore if you penalize our teams for losing.
Yeah.
So that's where it could get really weird with Notre Dame,
Man, I don't know. Let's just beat the hell out of these final two teams. The chips are going to fall where they may. And if Notre Dame ends up missing out, it's a very big lesson to learn about every one of these games mattering, and you can't take them for granted. You got to have your shit together early in the year. And so I don't know, Adam. Anything else? I got to hit the road, buddy.
Go hit the road, brother. I love you, and you take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you again.
How much time you got, buddy? Have a good one, Adam, out there in California. All right, Johnny's got to get going. There's few people on hold. Sorry I couldn't get to you. Busy day. I see some of those names. I'll bring you up on Friday if you hop in early. Bottom line, if you claim you're more deserving than another team, you're claiming you were a better team. Impossible argument to make when you lost to that team unless you rely on whim. The argument against that WPP would be that's 1-1, but what about overall? Like, what if you lose to Miami and then Miami loses 4 other games and you don't? Could you not argue that Notre Dame's a better team? There's got to be limits to this, right, Pat? What if you lose to Miami week 1 and they end up with 4 or 5 losses because Notre Dame lost to them? You can't say Notre Dame's a bigger team throughout the course of the year. That's where all these different factors get weighed differently depending on what mood the committee's in. I don't know. My brain hurts. I'm going to the gym to just lift some weights and work out. My brain hurts. My brain hurts. Thanks for the $10. Love the energy, love the debate, love all of this stuff. And most importantly, I love that Notre Dame's in the middle of this late. I didn't know if that was going to be possible when you started out 0-2. I love where this is all at. Notre Dame's right in the middle of all the drama and all the hunt. I am excited to get to this football game Saturday to just see stuff on the field again and not all these theories and what if this and what if that and the committee this and that. I love you guys. I love this show. I love the chat. I love all of it. We'll see you guys on the Patreon.